Good evening, everyone. I hope my voice is clear. Right. Welcome back to our last day of our program. We started understanding what is SQL. Then we also understood all the fundamental topics of structured query language. Right. There are few more topics that are left out, like window functions, and we also have Python and database connectivity. Okay. So today we are going to cover these two topics, both window functions and Python and database connectivity. Before that, we'll quickly recap what we have covered so far. So in the last class, we understood what are joins, views, and union all operator. Am I right? Yes. So tell me, what is the purpose of joins in SQL, guys? Why do we use joins? Joins actually help us to combine the tables. When you want to combine two or more than two tables, we go with the concept of joins. Right? Yes. What are the different types of joins that we have learned? There is a mandatory condition for performing joins. What is it? We should have a matching column. Right? There should be a matching column between the tables that we are trying to combine. Okay. Only if you have the matching column, it allows us to perform join. And different types of joins that we have learned are inner join, left join, right join, full join, and cross join. Right? So, what is the syntax that we have learned for join? Select the required columns followed by the left table, table 1, then keep your join type, then right table, table 2, on, yes, on table 1 dot matching column is equals to table 2 dot matching column. So this is what we have learned, and inner join help us to retrieve the matching records between the tables. Left join will return all the records from the left table and the matching. Right join will return all the records from the right table, including the matching. Full join will return all the records from both the tables. And cross join will perform Cartesian product base. It will return the Cartesian product between the tables. What do you mean by Cartesian product? Each row of, I mean, every record from the first table will be combined with every record from the second table. That is what Cartesian product means. For performing cross join, we need not have any kind of matching column. Right? Then we understood what are views in SQL. What are views in SQL? Views are nothing but virtual tables. Virtual tables are called as views in SQL. So these views, they actually don't store the data. They store the select query that is actually fetching the data. And next to views, we have understood union and union-all operators. What is the purpose of union and union-all? Even union and union-all help us to combine the tables, but vertically, guys. Okay, when you want to go and use union operator, ensure that both the tables have same number of records and the order of the columns should be same. The number of columns should be same and the order of the columns also should be same. The data types for these columns should be compatible. Right? Yes. What makes the difference between union and union or operators? Union removes the duplicates, before giving the output, whereas union or operator does not remove the duplicates from the final result. So that is the only difference between union and union all operators. Right. So let us start with the next topic. It is window functions. What are these window functions in SQL? Window functions help us to perform some calculations upon a set of records. On a set of records to the current row, but without collapsing them to a single result like aggregate functions. What does it mean? It means if you take an aggregation function, for example, we have sum. Sum is an aggregation function. Yes, it's an aggregate function. When you use sum function, what happens? It sum up all the values. Yes. And the final result will be a single value. Right. But these window functions will not return us a single result. It is going to return us the values for every records without collapsing them to a single result like aggregate functions. The window functions are generally used along with the over clause. We use it along with the over clause. Then, what is the purpose of this over clause? This over clause defines the window, guys. It defines the window. What does it mean? It is going to perform the partitions. Okay, we are going to define a subset of rows on which this function, the window function, will operate. Okay, so you'll understand when you go further. When I start explaining the window functions, you'll understand how these window functions work. Here are some few types of window function in SQL. We have aggregate window functions, ranking window functions, value window functions. What are these aggregate window functions? Sum, average, max, min, count. All of these are few types of aggregate window functions. Right. Then coming to ranking window functions, we have row number, rank, dense rank, and tile. Okay, we'll be understanding all these functions. That's not an issue. And next to ranking window functions, we have value window functions. What are these value window functions? We have lead, lag, first value, and last value as the functions. The general syntax that we use for window functions is select column 1, column 2, column 3, which means the required columns. Okay. Then specify your window function. On which this window function will be working on a column. So specify the column. Then we go and specify our over clause. We'll define our over clause. This over clause, inside this over clause, we'll have the partition by. What is the purpose of this partition by is, based on the column that we specify to the partition by, it partitions the data. It makes the partitions, and then you can also use the clause like order by for ordering the data from the table name. So this is the general syntax that we use for window functions, guys. Okay. So let us try to understand all of these one by one by taking some examples. Right. So I'll start from creating the database. Okay. I'll be starting it from creating the database itself. So what is the syntax for creating database? It is create database name. So I have already launched MySQL workbench. Yes. So let me first of all remove this, database which is not required because now we are going to do it, right? Yes. I'll create the database company DB. I'll use the create command. So the syntax is create database name. So when I say create database name, this will actually create the database. Done? Yes, it is. So let me refresh the schemas. Yes, the database got created. Now, next to after creating the database, let me go and use the database guys. Let me use the database. What is the syntax? The syntax is use database name. When you say use database name, immediately it starts using the database. Company DB is getting used. Now let us go and create the tables. I'll use create command for creating the table. What is the syntax? The syntax tells us that create table name followed by the list of columns. The list of columns. Employee ID, name, department, salary, joining date are my list of columns for which I'm going to also define the data types. Okay. And only for the employee ID, I'm defining the primary key, the constraint primary key, I'm defining it on employee ID, which means the employee IDs should be unique and they cannot be null. Right? Yes. So let us create the table employees. Is the table got created? Let us refresh and check. Yes, it got created. Employees table got created. Now, once after creating the table, let us insert the records so that we'll start going with, the window functions. The window functions. What do you observe here? I'm using insert command. Yes. What is the syntax for insert command? Insert into table name followed by the column names, then the values. So I'm trying to insert a few records into the table employees in which all these records get inserted into the table employees. So let me do it, guys. And I'm not passing any values for employee ID. Why? The reason behind why am I not passing any values to employee ID is I have defined auto increment for employee ID. So when you define the constraint auto increment, by default it starts from 1 and it also increments with the value 1. Right? So let me insert the records. Done. So let us cross check whether we have data inserted or not. How can we cross check? We have select command for fetching the records, for fetching the data. Yes. So let me use select command for fetching the data. So the syntax is select star from table name. Table name is employees. When I say select star from employees, I'll get all the records, the entire data from the employees table. See? Is the data got inserted? Yes. Done. So we created a database, then we created a table called employees, and we have also inserted the data. Now I'll start working on different window functions. Let me start working on the window functions. Okay. So, yes. What are the first type of window functions that we have? Aggregate window functions. Yes. So what are these aggregate window functions? We know aggregate functions. like sum, average, count, min, max, all of these are aggregate functions, right? Yes. So these aggregate functions, when you define them along with the over clause, they become aggregate window functions. Why? Instead of giving one single value, when you are combining with the over clause, this will define, this will give the result for each and every row. Okay. So let us understand how these aggregate window functions are going to give the output. I'll start with the first one. Sum function. We know in general sum function will return the overall sum of the values. Yes. So here is the query for aggregate window function sum. Let us try to understand it first of all. I'll just, yep. I have removed this piece. Let us try to understand it, guys. Select the list of columns. So I want employee ID, name, department, and salary to be fetched. And I'm using aggregate window function. It is sum. On which column, guys? On salary column. That means salary column will be used for summing up the values. The values of the salary column will be summed up. But how? Over. I'm using over clause where these salaries will be summed up based on their departments. So that means, first of all, the over clause comes into the picture and it partitions the records based on their departments. How many departments we have? We have a list of departments, and because of these departments, some groups, some partitions will be done, and for each and every partition, the salary values will be summed up. And what you are going to do them? You are going to store it under a column called total department salary. So that means you are going to get the amount of salary that you are spending for each and every department from table name. That's it. Simple, guys. See, it is like a select statement itself. But additionally, you are seeing different, functions like over, okay, then partition by coming into the picture. So let me do it so that you'll understand. I'll execute this query. Okay. So when I execute this query, you'll see the result. What are the list of columns I want? Employee ID. Yes. Name. Yes. Department. I have fetched salary. Yes. And next to salary, I also want total department salary. I also want total department salary. So based on the department, the salary values will be summed up, and for each and every department, the total salary of the department will be written. So that is how the aggregate window function sum works. But if you generally use sum function, it directly gives you one single aggregated value. But are you getting only one single aggregated value here? No. For each and every record, it is providing us the result. That makes the difference between a window function and aggregate function. Clear, guys? Is it making sense? Right. Next to sum, we have average. What is the next aggregate function? Aggregate window function we have? Average. Similar to sum, instead of performing sum, what does average does? Average function performs the average, the mean of the salaries. Is it the same query? Yes, it is the same query that you observe here. But the only difference that you notice is Instead of going with the sum function, I'm going with the average function. So this average function will actually return the average of the salaries based on the department. What does it mean? For each and every department, it performs the partitions, and accordingly, the average of the salary values will be considered, and the average of the salaries will be returned as output. So let me run this query. See, you can, if you are good at math, yes, you can do the calculations also. 60,000 plus 75,000 plus 75,000, it will be 2,10,000. Am I right? 75 plus 75 is 150. 150 plus 60 is 210. So 210 by 3 is 70,000. So for finance, the average salary will be 70,000. That's how the average function, the average window function works. It is just calculating the average, guys. But instead of getting one single value, you are getting the value for each and every single row. Clear? Then, next to average, we have max. Tell me, what does max function does? Max function. Max function will return us the maximum value in the column. Maximum value in the column. So, what exactly is happening here? We are using max function on the salary column, which returns the maximum salary for each and every department. For each and every department. Okay, so the same syntax, just changing the function and the column name. Let me execute it. You'll observe the difference. See, for finance, what is the maximum salary? 75,000. Did we get 75,000 under maximum department salary column? Yes. In the same way, for HR, it is 55,000. So it should return as 55,000 for all the records of HR. Yep. For IT, the maximum salary is 80,000. 80,000 was returned. So that is how the max window function works. Instead of returning one single value as output, it is returning as the value, the output for each and every record. Next to max, we have min function. Maximum function will return as the maximum value, and the min function will return as the minimum value. Right? So when I say min of salary, the minimum value of the salary values for each and every department will be returned, and they get stored under minimum department salary column. Okay. So these are very simple functions, guys, because we need not worry about these functions as we are already aware of, all these functions. Let me execute this query and let us have a look on the output. 60,000 is the smallest. The minimum value, the minimum salary value in the finance department, yes. 50,000 in HR and 65 in IT. Clear? And finally, we have one last function when it comes to aggregate window functions. It is count. What is the next one? The last one is count. What does this count window function does? The count window function will actually return the count of, the records. When you say count star, it is going to return the count of records. But what exactly is it going to return? Let us understand. You are going to partition based on the department? Yes. So that means under each and every department, it will just count the number of rows. What does it mean? It means It is going to count the number of employees present in each and every department. Present in each and every department. And what we are naming the column name? The column name we are giving as total employees in department. So let me execute this query. This will return me the total number of employees in each and every department. See, in finance, 3 people, 3 employees, HR 2, IT 3. So in this way, count function returns the count of the records. Right? Yes. So all these functions, aggregate window functions, are very simple to understand. Like if you started from minimum value, the max, then count, average, sum, all of these are not new for us. But now the next type of window functions that we are going to learn are something important, and all these window functions are new for us. Right? So pay attention, guys. The next type of window functions we have are ranking window functions. What are they? They are ranking window functions. What are these ranking window functions? These ranking window functions, they help us to assign a rank or a number to every record within the partition. So you are partitioning the data? Yes. Under each and every partition, you'll have different rows? Yes. For all these rows, you are going to assign a rank. You are going to assign a number. That will be done by ranking window functions. What are the ranking window functions that we have in SQL? We have row number, rank function, dense rank, and entile. What are they? Row number, rank, dense rank, and entile. Okay, so let me start with row number. What does this row number function does? Row number, it assigns a unique sequential number or integer to the records within the partition. And by default, this unique sequential number starts from 1. Okay, that means for all the records within the partition, it will just assign a number. That's it. What kind of number? Unique number, guys. A unique number is what it is going to assign. Right? So here is the query for row number. Let us understand it. Right. So what I'll do here is I'm trying to fetch employee ID, name, department, and salary from employees table. But along with these columns, I would like to assign a unique number for every row within the partition. Let us try to understand the second line, line number 45. I'm using row number function. Yes. The purpose of row number function is it helps us to assign a unique number for the records. How we are going to partition based on the department column. We are going to partition based on the department column. And we are also within the partition, we are ordering the records based on the salary column. How? I'm using order by clause. What is the purpose of order by? It helps us to sort the data. So using salary column, we'll be sorting the records in descending order, guys. In which order? Descending order. And we are giving this the output for this column name as row number. We're just naming the column name as row number. So let me execute this query and show you the output. See, did it assign a unique number for all the rows? Yes. But if you observe, only within the partition, how did we partition? Based on department. So finance will be one partition, HR will be the other partition, IT will be the other partition, third partition, right? So three partitions. Under each partitions, you'll have different, you know, unique numbers for each row, each record. And these records are also ordered based on the salary in descending order. Yes. Don't assume they are not ordered. They are. If you observe for each and every partition, they got ordered. See here. Clear? Yes. Next to row number, we have rank function. What is the next function that we have? Rank. What does this rank function does? Row number is actually assigning a unique number, unique integer. Yes. In case of rank, it assigns a rank to every record within the partition. Okay. So within this partition, it is going to assign a rank, guys, for every record. If the rows are tied, okay, for the tied rows, it receives the same rank. It is going to give the same rank, and the next rank gets skipped. The next rank will be skipped. That is the purpose of, that is how the rank function works. Okay. So let me, yes, let me explain you this query. What am I doing? I would like to fetch employee ID, name, department, and salary. And I'm also using rank function, which helps us to rank each and every row based on the partition. And within the partition, we are also ordering them, based on the salary values in descending order. Okay. What if the same salaries were observed? For the tied rows, it gives rank function gives the same rank and the next rank will be skipped. What does it mean? I'll tell you. Let me execute this query so that you'll understand. Done? Yes. If you observe here, what is the first partition? Finance? Yes. Based on the department, the partitions are done. Finance is the partition. So, based on the salary column, if you observe, the first two employees have the same salary, 75,000 and the 75,000. So both of them will get the same rank. Why? This is considered as a tie. Tied rows receive same rank. And the next rank, what is the next rank? 2, right? After 1, we'll have 2. The 2 gets skipped. The next rank gets skipped. So that is why you see 3. Why you don't see 2? Because rank function will skip the next rank when there is a tie. When there is a tie, it just skips. Clear? Yes. Next to rank, we have dense rank. What does this dense rank does? Dense rank works similar to rank. It works similar to rank, but the only difference between rank and dense rank is dense rank does not skip for ties. Okay. The next rank will not get skipped for ties. But in case of dense rank, in case of rank, the next rank is skipped. So let me execute this query for better understanding. You'll observe the difference between rank and dense rank. This is one of the important interview question. What is the difference between rank and dense rank? Okay, when someone is going to question you in case of window functions, this is one of the important function, guys. I mean, one of the important question. Okay, so the same query, I just changed the function to dense rank. Okay, so now I'll execute this query. Let's see the output. Let us understand the output. See here, earlier when I used rank function, the output is 113. But now it is 112. Why it is 112? Here there is a tie. So obviously, even dense rank will give you the same rank for a tie. But the next rank, after 1, what is the next rank? 2. The next rank will not be skipped by dense rank. Whereas the rank function will skip the next rank. That is the only difference between rank and dense rank in window functions. Is it clear? Right. So next to dense rank, we have entile rank, entile function, which actually helps us to, divide our data into a kind of groups. It is actually going to divide into equal number of groups. You'll be providing the number within the function entile. You'll be providing the number. Based on this number, entile function will divide into equal number of groups and assigns a group number for each row. Say if you are saying two groups, so the entire data will be divided into two groups and each group will have their own group number. Isn't it? Yes. So let us go and work with entile function. Let us go and work with the entile function. The same query, I just changed the function alone, entile of 2. What does this 2 means? We are telling that to divide our data into two parts, two groups, and this entire function will assign the group number for each group. Okay. If you say how many rows we have, assume that if we have 10 rows, so the data will be made into two groups, 5 rows in group 1 and 5 rows in group 2. All the rows in group 1 will receive the group number as 1 and all the rows in the group 2 will receive the group number as 2. Okay. Let me execute this query. See? Why you see only 1, 2? That is because of we have passed entile of 2. When you say entile of 2, it means we are going to divide the data into two groups and all the records in group 1 will receive 1 and all the rows in group 2 will receive the group number as 2. That is the purpose of entile function. Okay. So these are the different window functions, ranking window functions that are available in SQL. Okay. The next two ranking window functions, we have value window functions. So based on the values, we also have some window functions defined. Let us try to understand these window functions, guys, one by one. So what are these value window functions? They actually help us to access specific rows relative to the current row. So based on the current row, it helps us to access the specific rows. Okay. And these functions help us to retrieve the values based on their position of rows within the window. So what are these value window functions that we have? We have lag function, lead function, then first value, last value, and nth value. So in total, 5 different functions, very simple. If you concentrate, they are very simple functions. The value window functions are also a simple one. Let us understand from the lag. What does lag function does? The lag function returns us the value of the specified column from the row, that is specific number of rows before the current row. Okay, so this is going to give us the next values. Okay, so that is what lag function does. So it's better if I go with the example directly. I'll take this query and I'll explain how lag function works. Observe, what are we doing, guys? We are fetching the columns, employee ID, name, department, and salary. Yes. Along with these, I'm also using lag on which column? Salary column. So I'm going to perform lag on the salary column, where the values of salary for each partition will be ordered in ascending order by default, and the values will be stored as previous salaries. Okay, so let me explain you how lag function works. Lag window function. See, for each partition, based on the department, it is going to return us the lagged value. For the first record, there is no lag value. But for the second record, as we have the first record, that first record value salary will be written as the lagged value. For third record, the second record value will be taken. Okay, so in this way, it returns as the previous salaries. That is what lag function does. Clear? Simple. Lag function is going to return as the previous values, lagged values. What if there is no lagged value? It returns as a null. Why it is returning null for, record 4, employee ID 4, employee ID 2, employee ID 7? Because these are the records which are the first records in each and every partition. Under all the partitions, these are the first records. Right? So there is no lagged value. That is why you see null values coming in. Next to lag, we have lead. Lag is returning as the previous values. Yes. Lead will return as the next values. That is the difference. Lag and lead are quite opposite. Lag and lead functions are quite opposite. Let us work with the lead function. So I'll go and explain how lead works. The same query. I'm just changing the function. Instead of lag, I'll go and use it as lead. So here, when I say lead function, this will generate me the next salaries. See, for the first record, what is the next salary? 75,000. For second record, it will return the third record salary. But for the third record, it generates null. Why? Because third record is the last record of this partition. You are partitioning based on the department column, right? Yes. So in finance department, you just had only three records. Obviously, the last record of each partition will be null. In case of lead function, in case of lag, all the first records will have the null values. We discussed, right? It is quite opposite. Both lag and lead functions are quite opposite to each other. Clear? Yes. So next to lead, we have first value. What is the next function in the sequence? It is first value. What does this first value function does? first value function will return the first value of every window. For each and every partition, the first value will be returned as output for all the records in that partition. What does it mean? It means you are partitioning based on which column? Department column. So under each and every partition, you'll have the rows? Yes. So by default, the first value, how you are going to order these records under each partition? I'm ordering the records by using salary column. Okay, I'm using order by class where I'll be ordering them in descending order, which means under each department, okay, I'll get the records. The employees get sorted from highest to the lowest. Yes. So the highest salary will get returned by the first value function. The first value function will return the first value of each and every window. See, observe guys. Is it returning the highest salary of each and every partition? Yes. If you observe carefully, see, for this finance partition, what is the highest salary? 75,000. Is 75,000 written for all the rows of finance? Yes. That is what first value does. The first value of every partition will be returned for all the rows of that partition. Then in the same way for HR, 55,000. For IT, 80,000. Clear? I hope it is clear. Simple. First value function will return the first value of that particular window. In the same way, we have last value guys. Like how we have first value function, in the same way we have last value function. What does this last value function does? It retrieves the last value in every window. First value function returns the first value in the result set of the window. In the same way, last value function will return the last value of every window. Right? So, what is the syntax? From here onwards, there will be a small change with respect to the queries guys. Focus. What are we trying to do here? Let me explain. First of all, I'll adjust the query so that it will be very clear. Yes. Let us try to understand the query first. Select employee ID, name, department, salary. So these are the list of the columns I would like to have. Along with these columns, I would also like to have one more column. What is it? It is lowest salary. What is the other last column? Lowest salary. How am I getting this lowest salary? Is I'm using last value function on the salary column, and I'm also using the over clause which helps us to partition. I'm using the partition by for partitioning the data into the partitions. Which column is used for partitions? Department column. Under each partitions, the records will be ordered, sorted based on the salary column in descending order. And what does this line, 76 line means? Because so far, whatever we have discussed, we got habituated of using all these lines from the starting window function. But this is something we did not discuss so far. What does this rows between unbounded preceding and unbounded following? This means to consider all the rows. What happens if you don't use this, statement? If you don't try to use this statement, the last value function, instead of returning the last value for under each and every partition, it just returns only the value for each and every current row. So that is where we'll try to use rows between unbounded preceding. There is no from starting and unbounded following till the end. Consider all the rows and find the last value, and that last value should sit in lowest salary. Okay, so just like first value, but last value will return the lowest salary under each and every partition. See, for finance, what is the lowest salary? 60,000. So if you observe carefully, under the salary column, what is the last value? 60,000. So this last value should be returned as the value under the lowest salary. This will be written by whom? By the last value function. By the last value function, the lowest value, the last value will be returned as output under each and every window, guys. So finance is one window, HR is the other window, IT is the other window. So 65,000 for IT, 50,000 for HR. Clear? And finally, we have one more window function that is left out. Okay, it is nth value function. What does this nth value function does? We have first value function, last value function. But what if I want any nth value function? Is it possible to retrieve such kind of requirement? Yes, there is a function called nth value. There is a function called nth value, and this nth value function will return me, the nth value from the result set. Based on the value that you specify inside the function, accordingly, it is going to return the nth value from the result set for each and every window. So what am I trying to do here? I'm trying to retrieve the second highest salary for each and every department. So this is one of the important interview question that is widely used. Write SQL query for fetching second highest salary for each every department. For all the departments. See, if you want to do the same in general, if you want to fetch only the highest salary among all the employees, you can directly go and use limit and offset. But here we are trying to fetch the second highest salary for every department, not for the overall employees, guys. From all the departments, I want the second highest salary. So here is the query. How am I able to do it? Nth value. Nth value is the function which we are using here, which will return us the second highest salary. How it is going to return us the second highest salary? If you observe inside the nth value function, I just used 2. What does this 2 represent? 2 is going to represent, the second highest salary. Right. So what are the columns? The list of columns I would like to fetch are employee ID, name, department, and salary. And apart from these, I would like to get one more column, that is second highest salary. How am I able to get it? Using nth value function. Inside the nth value function, I'm just using the salary column, because based on the salary column only, I want to get the second highest values, right? And I should also specify the n value. It is 2, guys. 2 represents the second highest salary, the second highest value in each and every window. So in the over function, I'm defining the partitions based on the department. I would like to perform the partitions, and using the salary column, I would like to order the data, sort the data in descending order. And I just use rows between unbounded following, unbounded preceding, and unbounded following, which means to consider all the records from starting to the end. And this will return me the second highest salary. This will return me The second highest salary for each and every window. What does that window represents? Each and every department. See, if you observe properly, why we have 75 returned 75,000? Because 75,000 was used. There are two employees who get the same salary, right? But if you observe in case of HR, what is the second highest? 50,000. See, in IT it is 70,000. So that's how you can get any nth value, not only second highest, 10th highest. Okay, so depending on the n value that you pass into the nth value function, it will return you that specific highest salary. Clear, guys? So this is all about the different window functions that are available in SQL. All of them are important. One of the important topic in SQL, it is window functions, right? And next to window functions, we have Python database connectivity. What is this Python database connectivity? Should we have a connection between Python and database? This might be a question. Before, learning any topic, you should understand the reason behind it. First of all, is it mandatory that we should have any connection between Python and database? Yes, obviously. Because when you're trying to build any application using Python, okay, you are doing some XYZ task using Python. Now, what if you have the data stored in any RDBMS system, any relational database management system? You have data in RDBMS system and you are working in Python. Okay, you are trying to develop some application, or if you want to do some kind of analysis on your data, if you want to visualize your data, you obviously have to go with Python. So in that case, what do you think of? Data is present in database. But if you have the data in database, can you go and visualize the data in database itself? Not possible. You should have the data in Python's memory. Only if you have the data in the Python's memory, you can start performing whatever task that you want to do. So for that reason, we generally establish a connection between Python and database. That is what we do in general. What we do, we connect both Python and the database by establishing a connection. We'll establish a connection. We'll integrate so that you can pull the data from the database and you can perform whatever your task. Clear? Now, let us understand how to establish this connection, because we are trying to connect Python and the database, right? So what I'll do here is, first of all, so I have launched Spider, guys. This is called Spider, okay, in which I have a Python script, a 10-line script. Don't assume this is of 30 lines. All of these hashtags represents comments which help us to understand the code better. So it's just only 10 lines of code. If you understand these 10 lines of code, you can establish the connection between Python and database. So let me start importing the necessary libraries. What are the necessary libraries that I would like to import here are pandas. Why do we import pandas? We import pandas for data manipulation. We import pandas for data manipulation. So I'm importing pandas and I'm also giving an alias name to pandas as PD. Check. Is it done? Yes. So guys, when you try to import any package, any library, and if you are facing any issue, okay, assume that if the module was not, the package was not installed, obviously it will not be imported, right? So you have to install the package first. Ensure that the package was installed. If you don't install the package, obviously you cannot import it into your Python's memory. Clear? Then, next to pandas, I would like to import create engine and text. What are these create engine and text? So in order to establish the connection, we need some functions. Yes. So these functions are available in SQL Alchemy. So this is one of the important library for establishing the connection. So I will have SQL Alchemy import. First of all, I install SQL Alchemy. Then next, after installing SQL Alchemy, I'll import create engine and text from SQL Alchemy. So let me import it. I have already installed guys. So that is the reason it is easily, importing create engine and text functions from SQL Alchemy. If you haven't installed SQL Alchemy, first of all, you need to install. What is the command for installing in Python? Pip install package name. Okay. So the command pip install package name will be used for installing any package. Clear? And next to SQL Alchemy, I would like to go with one more package. It is URL lib.parse. From URL lib.parse, I would like to import code. What does this code function does? So within my password of MySQL database, okay, MySQL workbench, I have some special characters. So for encoding these special characters, I need code function. So this is not mandatory in your case. In my case, I have special characters. That is the reason I'm going with the code function. I'm importing code function. Clear? Yes. Now, next to it, first of all, I would like to read the data from a CSV file. I would like to import the data from a CSV file. Okay. Next, after importing the data from a CSV file, what I'll do is I'll push this data to the database. Okay. Then I'll try to establish the connection and I'll fetch the data. Clear? So I have the data present in a CSV file, and this is the famous data, widely used data. It is iris data set. Okay. So it is available in a CSV file. So I'm using read underscore CSV function from pandas to read the data which is available in CSV file. And this represents the location, the path of my CSV file. Okay. So just copy the path and keep it inside the function, the braces. Clear? And what does the R indicate? R indicates that to read this entire location in the raw format. So when it tries to execute this line, when we execute this line, what happens is Python interpreter might assume that this backslash characters as some special characters. So we are telling them to consider as the raw, in the basic form itself. That is why we are representing R. And where we are storing this data in a variable, in an object called data. So let me execute this. Within the variable explorer, you will observe the data, guys. See. So this is my data where the size is 150 rows and 5 columns. Let me open it. So this is the data that we have in the CSV file. I have fetched the data. I have loaded the data from CSV file to Python's memory. See, all the 150 rows. How many columns? 5 columns? Yes. In total, 5 columns. Then you are supposed to give your database credentials like username, password, and the database name. Okay. So my username by default, everyone will have the username as root. That is the reason behind it is the local machine. Since we have hosted, MySQL from local machine, the username will be root. So just keep it as define your database. I mean the username, then the database name. So you have to give your database which you are going to connect with. Okay. So I have a database called test. I'm using this test database so that I'm just keeping it as DB is equals to test. And next to which I have my password. So this is my password of database. Okay. So nothing but MySQL. Okay. Since I have at the rate within my password, for that reason, I'm using the quote function from URL lib.parse. This quote function will help for encoding the special characters within the password. If you don't have any special characters, you can ignore line number 4. You can ignore line number 4, not required. Done? Yes. Now, we just defined all the credentials for the database. Everything is done. I'll go with the create engine function. So let us establish the connection between Python and MySQL, because the database that I'm using is MySQL, right? So I'll be establishing the connection between Python and the database using create engine function. This will create the connection. So you'll get the F string. So this is the connection where MySQL and PyMySQL acts as the drivers, and username will be fetched from, line number 10, and DB name will be fetched from line number 11. So string formatting will be done. Okay. And since I have quote, since I have special characters in the password, the quote function helps us to encode the special characters in the password. So password will be encoded here by using with the help of quote function. Okay. So what if you don't have special characters? This F string will be very small. You can directly go and use line number 19. Making sense? So let me execute line number 16. Let me execute line number 16. Done. So that means the connection was established. Now I'll push the data to the database. I'm going to push the data from Python to the database. How? Using the function called to_SQL. I'm going to use the function called to_SQL. So this to_SQL will push the data to the database. How? What is data? Data is nothing but the original data that we have loaded from CSV file. Yes. So this data will be pushed to database using the function called to_SQL. So within this function, specify the table name. You have to give the table name in which this data will sit in this table name in the database, and connection should be done using engine. And what if this data is already present in this table? Replace with this original data. If the data is already present in iris_data, replace with the data of 150 rows and 5 columns. And chunk size is 1000. That means at a time, only 1000 records will be passed. And When you say index is equals to false, so within this Python, by default, you'll have the index. So this index will not be pushed to MySQL. It will not be pushed to the database. Why? Because I have kept index is equals to false. So the index will not be pushed. Only the data gets pushed. Let me do it, guys. Sorry. Yep. Is it done? Yes, it is done. Let me go and cross check. So it is test data under the tables. What is the table that I have mentioned? Iris data, right? You see? So let me check whether the data got pushed or not. Yes, the data got pushed. Do you see the index? No, index is not pushed. Why? I just mentioned index is equals to false, which means it will not allow us to push the index to the database. See, all the 150 records. Clear? So that's how when you establish the connection, you can push the data from Python to the database. And in the same way, you can pull the data from database to Python. Let us do that as well. See, what am I doing here? What is this? Is this select statement? Yes. Select star from table name. What is the table name? Iris underscore data? Yes. When you say iris underscore data, that means whatever the table that we have created just now, from this table, we are trying to fetch all the records. When you say select star from table name, this will fetch all the records from the table iris underscore data. And I have just mentioned this query in text. And I'm storing this in an object called SQL. And I'll use this inside read underscore SQL underscore query. There is a function in pandas called read underscore SQL underscore query, which helps to read the queries. So that means this query will be read here. It will be rendered by the function. So this select command gets executed in the backend using the connection engine. And when it fetches, so when it executes, what happens? It fetches all the records. Yes, all the records gets fetched. And this data will be stored in DF. Where you are going to store this data? DF. So let me execute this command as well. Done. Let me go and check DF. DF is a data frame. Yes. What is the size of it? 150 comma 5. So that means we have fetched the data from the database. Clear, guys? Simple. First thing is you have to give your credentials of the database. Then using create engine function, establish the connection between Python and the database. Immediately, you can execute the select statement by, using this function called read underscore SQL underscore query from pandas, so that that query will return, it will execute your select statement and it will fetch the data. See, so this data, I got it from the database. There is a difference. The first, this data I have loaded from CSV file, and this data I have got it from the database. There is same data, but we are trying to understand the difference. How did we fetch the data from CSV file, from database? So I hope it is clear. So I'll give you a good amount of time. If you have any questions related to the window functions and Python database connectivity, yes, feel free to ask your questions because both of them are two small topics. Okay. So any questions, technical questions? Come on, guys. Yes, any questions? Right. If no questions, I'll start the orientation for the internship. So, guys, as we have discussed the internship phases in the last class, I mean, in the demo session. So, um, initially, we'll have the orientation today. So, what we are expecting from you is, as part of the learning phase, you have to work on, I mean, you will be learning continuously on the emerging skills like Python. You have to learn Python, you have to learn SQL, you have to learn Power BI, and you should also learn how the data analysis to be done and followed by data cleaning. Okay. So all these core concepts you have to learn as part of learning phase. How you are going to learn is a Google Classroom was already posted in the chat. So when you click on it, it will redirect you to a Google Classroom. Okay, so let me show Google Classroom first of all. So this is the Google Classroom that you will be part of when you click on that link. And every announcement with respect to the internship will be happening here. If you are not present in this classroom, be part of it, because from tomorrow we are going to start this internship learning phase, right? So the announcements will be happening here, guys. So on daily basis, we'll be posting some sessions. You have to go through them. Okay. And as usual, we'll be connecting for at least 30 to 1 hour, 30 minutes to 1 hour, so that we can discuss the progress of our internship. Right. So I'll be assigning you the task. Whatever you have learned, you can come forward and you can be discussing them in just 1 minute, 2 minutes. That's more than enough. Okay, so that will be continued for the next 30 days. Once after completing the learning phase, you'll be moved to the project phase. Okay, so if you have any kind of questions, you can address them. I mean, we'll be addressing them as part of your learning phase itself. Will not make things delayed, because by the end of the day, I mean, by end of this learning phase, you should be clear on the core concepts and you should be confident that you can do a project. Right. So the classroom has all again, the link has been posted again. You are supposed to click on it and be part of the Google Classroom batch 7, which is going to commence from tomorrow. Okay. So the timings for the meeting, everything will be announced in the classroom only. So be part of the Google Classroom. Time again, I'm repeating the same thing. Okay. The entire communication between you and next year Unitech happens in the Google Classroom only. Be part of it, guys. And whoever completes the project, yes, they'll be receiving the certificate as well. Okay. So when you join for the first day, you'll understand what you're supposed to do, how you're going to learn this internship, what exactly you're going to learn. Okay. So any question in case of internship, the free internship that we are offering? Yes, guys, feel free to ask your questions in case of internship. If no questions, we have concluded the sessions of SQL. Okay, so probably you'll get a message for your certifications. Do register for your certifications. And I hope you have enjoyed the playlist of SQL. If you feel the same, do hit on the like button. Encourage us. We are planning up, to come up with some amazing sessions in future, and also share across your connections. Thank you so much, guys, for getting involved in each and every session of the playlist of this particular program. I hope you have enjoyed the playlist on the SQL, structured query language. If no questions, we'll wind up the day. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Signing off.